Alright, I'm Jody with Bass Club Chicago. I'm back with Kevin Muschel of Fender, and we were just going to go over the differences between some custom shop pieces and Masterbuilt pieces. I've got two Masterbuilts here and one custom shop. I'm not sure if you can tell which is which, but this is a custom shop team-built piece. These are two Masterbuilt pieces. You can see I've got two NOS finishes here and a relic finish. And why don't you just give us a brief kind of description of let's start with the custom shop team-built stuff.
It's an interesting thing. When we first started, I don't think there was much of a difference. But what we've found over the years is we've gotten to two completely different production environments. So basically we've got this team environment, and what that is a group of people that work together to produce these instruments. So what you get is you've got people who are doing the relicking on them. You've got people who are doing fretwork. You've got people who are buffing them. You've got people that are doing all the different processes. And they work as a team, hence the team name.
Right.
But the interesting thing about it is it's still very separate from Fender's Corona factory production environment. And the fascinating part of it is there are two completely different elements under the same roof.
Okay.
The only area where they share an environment is the wood shop, but they have their own machines. So the interesting thing is the custom shop doesn't even share machines with the other production environment. They're in the same room because the air handling is specific to woodworking.
Sure.
So you got to deal with the dust and all the crud that is generated from doing this. But what we do is we have our own machinery, we have our own people. The custom shop even has its own paint people. I mean, this is like, I call it a commune within the Fender land. And yet it's a commune where you can do the really specialized work of making instruments that I call heirloom instruments. These are the ultimate future collectibles. They're instantly collectible when you buy them because the handwork and the pay attention to the heritage. I mean, we even use a lot of Leo's old machinery in this environment. It's an amazing thing when you think about it in this day and age. We're not attempting to turn this into a mass-produced thing. We're actually making it in kind of an heirloom fashion. Right. So Team takes it down one notch from Master. We'll get into Masterbuilt in a bit. Right. But the thing that's cool about Team is because we do have the economies of scale of people working together to produce these, there's some efficiencies that allow us to make these at lower price points. The only caveat is you will also have a price point is achieved, but you won't get the attention to detail. You'll hit a wall where we can't do it in this environment. I'll give you an example. If we're building this instrument, and all of a sudden you say, well, I want my name on the fingerboard in mother of pearl.
Right.
Guess what? You just went Masterbuilt, because what happened is the team people can't slow down and do inlays for you, custom inlays. If you do all sorts of wacky stuff like a custom compound radius, an inlay, some type of funky thing going on with the body shape where you want a little bit of a deeper route down here so you can get up, or if you want more frets, you want to go for a 24 fret thing. Whatever it may be, you're going to cruise into the world where the attention of detail needs to move up a notch.
Okay.
So that's really one of the things you have to keep in mind. Another interesting factoid, custom shop instruments can't even share wood with the Corona factory because they have their own machinery. It needs different size blanks. So the wood suppliers are even different. And the cool thing about custom shop is we have access to wood that's really off the beaten path. Right. You know, it's because we don't need to adhere to the quantities that need to happen in the Corona world where we mass produce like American Standards and American Deluxes. We can use small batch woods and we can do cool stuff.
Cool.
You know, it's really interesting.
Yeah, the custom shop stuff seems to come into play when you have a U.S. production piece or something that you may want a unique color with, yep. Or you might want to take a spec from this U.S. base and a spec from this U.S. base and a spec from this base and kind of turn it all into your own unique piece, and where custom shop comes into play. And then it sounds like, you know, once you go to custom shop, that opens up a whole new room of options, or able to play with specs a little bit.
Absolutely.
And then the next level above that is if you want something completely unique, something completely different that you can't find on pretty much any Fender product. Then you start getting into the Masterbuilt territory. So I mean, these are definitely a step up from the American bases. A lot of times you can get hand-wound pickups on them. or you can up. There's a lot of upgrades you can make on these bases that you can't get through just an American Standard series bass.
Yeah. The Custom Shop has its own website, but if you go to that site, there's a menu up there, and that menu has all of the options that are available under this team environment.
Okay.
And it includes radius. Say, for instance, you like a 64 jazz bass, but boy, the vintage radius is a little bit too round. I need a 12-inch radius. I want it flatter so that I can bend notes and I can play chords up high and all the things that a flatter radius allow you to do. Well, guess what? That's in the build menu. It's actually, I don't even think it's an upcharge. It's just, you can put a 12-inch radius on it.
You can spec it out to what you really want, but you still like the pickup spurs, the string, the pickup placement of this bass, but you want the radius of this different bass, and you can kind of custom order. And then I guess above and beyond that, if there's a spec on there that you don't see, now you need to talk about.
You're going to creep into this world.
Into Masterbuilt territory. Now, custom shop stuff do they do relic custom shop stuff?
Yes, absolutely. The team environment will build a relic for you. If you want to take this bass and make it look like it's been gigged on for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, we can do that.
And now, is there? I know there's different levels of relic.
Absolutely. There's a super relic.
Super relic.
Yeah,
where
that's basically beat up.
Right.
That's like you drag it behind your car.
You have more wood showing than you actually have paint showing on the bass.
And you know, the interesting thing is there's an art to it.
Oh yeah.
One of the things we've mastered, and I love this because you see a lot of attempts at doing it, but what ends up happening is, in order to make it look realistic, there's got to be someone directing the occurrences. It's like a map. Well, what would someone have done? Well, they had a big belt buckle. And that belt buckle chewed away at it because the guy played 3 times a week for 20 years playing this bass, and he wore that thing down. You know, there's a story to be told, and these aren't just random. They're actually
wear marks.
They're wear marks.
Right, where they would be. Yeah, a lot of times I see when I take the ashtrays off, you'll see where, or a lot of times they won't even have ashtrays on them.
Yeah.
And you can see where the ashtrays were, where their fingers have been resting. The super relics are just, pretty beat up all over in general. And I mean, it's even down to the screws and the pick guard.
Yep.
I mean, you don't really see anything on this bass that looks completely brand new other than maybe the frets.
Frets are shiny.
Frets are always shiny, and that's crucial.
Thank goodness for that.
You don't want relic frets.
No. Another thing I should tell them, this is an interesting factoid. A lot of these metal parts are original dies and machines of Leo's day.
Really?
We have a lot of them. I'll give you an example. Ashtrays, metal parts, were very integrated. In Fenderland, we make a lot of the parts that go on the instruments. It's not just some machine shop someone brings these in. We make them. We're vertically integrated that way. We make a lot of stuff. And it's amazing. People don't understand how deep we go into creating this stuff.
Sure.
So I'll kind of cruise over to Masterbuilt land.
Yeah. So now, what is for the people who don't know?
What is
Masterbuilt? That just sounds.
I know, that sounds wacky. Like, what could this possibly be? Interesting thing that happened was when we discovered that customers wanted to build dream instruments, and they needed someone there to be the brain, the hands, to direct it, because their idea required more than just an environment. It needed someone to give it special attention. So that is what the Master Builder does.
Okay.
What we did is we hired these guys based on their prowess, and the apprentice and everything else. I mean, our Master Builders, those boys go through rigorous years of learning the craft. And they're very, very skilled at what they do. And what they do is they pay attention to details.
Right.
Every last one of them understands the combination of when does a maple fingerboard with an ash body, what's that combination going to do on a jazz bass? What gives you more of that growl? If you want to knock the weight down, what combinations of woods? Well, if you want something super light, the reality is you want a human being looking at this thing and picking out your blanks and going, boy, this thing's light. Look at these. These are amazing.
Right.
You want a human being on that. And that's where the Master Builder comes in. He rides herd over your instrument.
Right.
That's really what it is.
Now, the Masterbuilts are also built by one person.
Yes. Really what you have is you have a human being who takes your instrument and he will build all the details into it. Now, keep in mind, paint is a different animal just because you want an expert painting. The Master Builders typically don't do a lot of painting.
Right.
And I don't think you want them to, personally, because they don't do enough of it. But we've got Van Goghs painting in there. I mean,
Right.
those guys who do the paint, when you see our bursts, they're
Right.
fantastic. A master builder will understand, for instance, when you're trying to do something, he'll help you accomplish it.
Right.
You might even get a phone call from the master builder
Yeah.
because he'll question what you're doing and he'll
Right.
go, you know, maybe it would be better if you changed this to this instead of that.
Right, yeah, we've definitely, because Bass Club does a lot of specking out of custom shop instruments and master. I think we've got over a half a dozen Masterbuilt pieces in shop, and every so often we get a call from Todd Krause or John Cruz or whoever,
Yeah, the boys.
Jason Smith, will call and go, hey, you guys have this spec on this bass, but I think you may want to consider doing it this for this reason. And, be it a pickguard color or a radius or whatever the spec is that they don't necessarily completely agree with 100%. So these instruments, the Masterbuilt instruments, take a bit longer to make, right?
Well, here's the real catch, is the master builders are limited in number.
Right, there's only 8?
Yeah, I think it's 8 right now is the current roster. And the interesting thing is, because there's only 8, they have a lot of orders they're working
Right.
on. And the other thing they do is, I'm sure they all have different work methods. Every one of the guys, we allow their personalities to
Right.
be incorporated in the instruments. This is the fascinating part of it.
Yeah, the master builders are definitely doing something pretty unique, and these are the guys that are building instruments for
yeah.
Clapton,
Oh,
Jeff
totally.
Beck, for all
Yeah.
everybody who plays Fender products,
Absolutely.
Robert Cray or whoever.
Yep.
So you're getting the same builder that is building the instruments for the premier players out there in the world. So you can point your finger at the person who made your instrument from start to finish, minus maybe some
Yeah.
some painting.
But it's his baby.
Right,
He's building it.
Jason Smith had a role in every part of this bass and building it and putting it together, picking out the woods and making sure that he got the best possible woods or the lightest weight woods or the best grain in the woods that you can get. And I'm not sure exactly what the wait time is on a custom shop piece. I imagine
These
about
are typically 7 months.
7 months?
A team custom's about 7 months. No, these. I hate
now,
to say
depending
this,
on your master builder.
it could be a year and a half to right now. John Cruz is at 3 years.
3 years from the moment you place your order. So, which it's got its pluses and minuses. You can pay off your base over the span of 3 years.
By the time it shows up.
Which, there's certainly a premium that comes with having a master built piece. It's definitely a higher price point than the custom shop pieces. But then, like I said, all the master built pieces are signed in the back of the headstock by the master builder themselves and numbered. So there's a reference of where that bass came from and a history that you can point to, which is not something you can really even get off a custom shop piece. It was built by premier builders who are great at their craft and was built by a team of really skilled luthiers. But the master built is just that next step where you've got a little bit more definite history of the product. And like Kevin was saying, the master built stuff is the stuff where if you're very particular about what you want on your instrument, or you have a very unique design or a concept of the instrument you want that maybe the custom shop can't do, the master builders are more than happy to sit down and take your vision and make it a reality, and take
totally.
something that you got an idea in your head, and and some of these, like Kevin was saying, you can in some cases even talk to these master builders directly and kind of go, this is my idea, what do you think? And hopefully they can run with it. And I can't say that I've ever had a master built piece that I wasn't completely blown away by. And we also a lot of these master builders sit down and do the limited runs. We recently had the Adam Clayton P bass, which he sat down with who was the master builder that?
Oh yeah, who did build those?
I want to say Jason Smith, but it wasn't Jason Smith.
No.
It was Paul Waller.
Yes.
Paul Waller.
Yep.
Paul Waller sat down with Adam Clayton to design the Adam Clayton bass that has the gold glitter on it, and the blocks, and a gorgeous bass that we had. So these guys are sitting down with the pros, developing instruments and making some of the best instruments out there. And these are, like Kevin was saying, a minimum year and a half wait, so there's not a whole lot of them out there. There's only 8 builders in the Masterbuilt factory, so you're not going to have such a saturated market. They're very one-off kind of pieces, very unique, and a lot of them are very different from one another. So I guess that's...
You want to build this, the way to look at a Masterbuilt instrument is you're building something that's going to be instantly collectible. You're building something that the attention to detail exceeds pretty much anything you're going to buy off the shelf.
Right, absolutely.
And it really is a spectacular example of how you can take a guy's skill sets and he puts that into an instrument made just for you. And it's amazing.
You know, the Masterbuilt stuff is definitely some unique pieces and really got a tight attention to detail. I think, do all Masterbuilts have hand-wound pickups, or is it just an option?
It depends. It depends on what you want.
So
I don't think the builders wind their own pickups very often, if at all, anymore, just because they're so busy.
Right.
But if you look in the custom shop, they have their own pickup winding area.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You turn the corner there and you walk into that room and you see people in final assembly ahead, and there's a little room right to the left. And in that room sits pickup winders.
Yeah.
And they're sitting at their winding machines winding away.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing sight. You know, it's old school, hand-wound pickups. There they are. And they end up in these instruments, and they're part of that whole mojo that you just can't replicate that comes through.
I want to make sure that everybody knows that these, like Fender, Kevin was saying, a lot of these, most of these, if not all these products are made by Fender, and they're not made by computers and robots. These are all done by hand, other than maybe cutting out the body.
Yeah, we use computer-aided machinery only where it makes absolute sense, but when you look at most of this stuff, there's so much handwork in an instrument, it's mind-numbing. You'd think, oh yeah, there's a Bugs Bunny robot manufacturing process, and there isn't.
Right. A lot of this stuff is all done by hand.
And it really is.
And you know, it's custom pieces, USA, and for something that you can pinpoint the lineage from. Definitely a unique piece, and there's not too many companies out there doing Masterbuilt stuff, I guess.
No, it's a unique thing. You could say that it's like we've got a boutique company within our brand.
Right.
Because that's how boutique guys typically operate, is it's the owner and the namesake of the brand building stuff in his shed or his shop.
Right.
And he might have a helper that helps him rough stuff out, or maybe a couple of helpers.
Right.
But the reality is he puts his name on it. Well, we've got that same kind of thing. The master builders are doing that with the Fender Heritage.
Right.
You know, so basically you look at it as we've got our own little boutique shop within our factory.
Sure.
And they're building stuff the same kind of way. That attention to detail is like uber there. And that's what Masterbuilt is particularly like that. This environment, the team custom environment, is it's very, very good that way. Attention to detail is extreme, but that takes it to 10.
Right.
11, as they say. That's actually every bit of attention to detail you can possibly get is happening here.
Cool. Well, that's just, I guess, kind of a brief overview of the differences between a custom shop piece and a Masterbuilt piece. Bass Club is, like I said, I've got at least 6 or 7 Masterbuilt pieces on the wall, and I've certainly got a minimum 6 or 7 custom shop pieces, as well as the new Antiguas and the Select series and American Standards and Road Warrant series stuff. So if you have any questions on any Fender products, if you're looking to spec one out, if you're looking to pick one up, be sure to call us here at Bass Club Chicago. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We got a pretty big YouTube channel. And again, thanks, Kevin.